Hi, I'm Trish Gleason with the World Wellness Show, and today we have with us Dr. Tom Lankering, and he's going to talk to you about a book that he wrote. He's a co-author, Wake Up the Happy Brain. So we've got a lot of great information coming. Dr. Lankering he's been a holistic, brain-based holistic doctor for over 40 years, or 40 years this coming fall, and quite the extensive experience. And we welcome you, Dr. Lankering. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Trish. It's great to be here.
Well, can you mention anything that I forgot about your expertise? Because your expertise is vast. I know that.
Yeah, 40 years. I'll just say this, after 40 years in practice, I'm more excited, more passionate than ever about the work that I'm doing, especially as far as the brain-based bioenergetic. People these days are more stressed out. They're sicker than ever. There are a lot more factors affecting people's health. And I'm excited after all these years to have been able to put together a very holistic, I think, comprehensive package that people can utilize and really improve the quality of their lives. So it's really exciting to share this opportunity with people.
Well, we're happy to have somebody here with such vast knowledge. I heard through the grapevine, I've heard that you had a television show at one time for 20 something years. Is that right?
Yeah, for about 25 years in Aspen, Colorado, I've had a show called Healthy Lifestyles. I haven't been doing it as much now, but I had quite the opportunity to meet some fascinating people. Last person I interviewed was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I've actually done 3 TV shows, and we did a program on Healing America. So that was, again, all health oriented. And so, yes, I've had the opportunity to be a voice for natural healthcare online and in the Aspen, Colorado area. So that's been a wonderful opportunity for me.
Okay, that's exciting and impressive. So let's get busy looking at your book. Can you show us a sample of your book?
I do have the book here. I just happen to have it with me. I don't leave home without it. So, Wake Up the Happy Brain. So I was honored to have been invited to write a chapter in this book. So I'll hold it up here or so. There's 36 of us who are in the book, who authors. Some people might be aware of Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Brett Brimhall, Dr. Patrick Porter, amongst others. And so we each wrote a chapter pertaining to the brain. So the chapter I wrote is The Art of Balance. And personally, I think that that's really what life is all about. We've got to be in balance. And we're always getting different stressors being thrown at us, affecting us, and so forth. But it's like, if you're walking down the street and if you're not in balance, what happens, right? If you're driving your car and your wheels have 30 pounds of pressure on right front and back, but 35 pounds of the left, what happens, right? So the whole name in the game, as far as I'm concerned, with life and with health is balance. So I talk about 3 major highways that I pay attention to as far as the foundation is concerned, and then the different types of stressors, which Dr. John Brimhall, who I've been studying with for a long time, talks about the triangle of health. So that's what my chapter is about, on how people can look at what I think would be priorities as far as their health is concerned.
Wow, that's exciting. So let's get down to the meats and potatoes. So you talk about these 3 highways. Can you explicitly explain those 3? Because we want to teach our viewing public.
Right. So
I
we
think that'd
have
be a good place to start. Do you?
Yeah, exactly. And again, what I mentioned, if you're going to build a house, I don't care if it's a little cabin, if it's a big elaborate house, what's the first thing you need to build? Is the foundation. And so with a lot of people, what I start with is the foundation. And these 3 major highways, I think, are significant factors in what's going on. So the first one is what's called our stress, fight, or flight mode, and then our healing and recovery, rejuvenation, digestion, detoxification. Sleep is also in there, right? Healing. But here's our stress, fight, or flight mode, our survival mode, also called the sympathetic, driven by the adrenal glands, adrenaline. And then we have our rest and digest and detox. But what happens, I use the example of like a fire alarm, because our brain is all about our survival. And so let's say we're sitting in a room together in a building, and all of a sudden the fire alarm goes off. Boom. what's the first reaction that our brain tells our heart rate to do, right? What does it tell our muscle tension to do? What does it tell our breathing, our eyes open, right? It's like, we got to find a door. We have to get out of here. Then we run outside and we find out it's a false fire alarm. Now we come back and we sit in for 15, 20, 30 minutes later. Now, what does the brain tell the heart rate to do? What does it tell the respiration? What does it tell the muscle tension to do, right? So the body should relax. The challenge these days is that the brain has a difficult time telling the difference between a real fire alarm, a false fire alarm, financial stress, work stress, family stress, social stress, media stress. And so the fire alarm is always on. And as a result, people don't have a chance for their rest and recovery, digest and detoxification system to work. So they're always in this fight or flight. So an important part is to try to bring the brain back to balance, and also working with this relaxation recuperation system is the vagus nerve. People hear about that. That's for the parasympathetic. So that's one of the highways. Then the other highway is what's called the HPA axis. Hypothalamus is in the brain, pituitary is in the brain. Those work with the brain chemicals or the neurotransmitters. And then the A represents the adrenals, which we just spoke about in the sympathetic. And the adrenals represent the body chemicals, the hormones. And so there's the adrenals, the thyroid, ovaries, uterus, prostate, testes, pancreas, pituitary, pineal are all part of the hormonal endocrine system. So when there's stress in the mind, it affects the body. When there's stress in the body, it affects the mind. And then the other major highway is the gut-brain connection. Happy brain, happy gut. Unhappy gut, unhappy brain. And all of these three relate to each other. So it's a matter of looking at which of those are the most stressed and what we can do to help to support that. And the brain comes into all that. So we'll get into the brain-based wellness, but the brain from that fire alarm state is what controls everything. Now, the other approach that I work with, the triangle of health, I break it down a little bit easier for people to understand, is what I call a home run formula. And that's taken from Dr. Scott Walker with the neuroemotional technique. But if you think of a baseball field, right? So if you have home plate is physical or structural stress, right? Then first base is mental and emotional stress. All right. And that's, can things in life be a pain in the neck, right? Can they be a pain in the butt? Can they make you sick to your stomach, break your heart, take your breath away? The list goes on about how emotions manifest in the body. And those emotions, worry, fear, anger, think of the brain, put the brain into this fight or flight mode. Then the second base deals with toxins, heavy metals, environmental toxins, environmental allergies, also acupuncture meridian points, which can get congested. So, go out and pour dirt in the gas tank of your car. How does your car run? Just not well. And we live in a toxic world these days. And then third base is biochemical, nutritional, things that are not in the body that should be. So if we're energy beings and we're using up our batteries and we don't replenish the batteries, then those batteries get run down, and our lifestyles are usually at a high level, and we usually don't have enough nutritional value to help to support that. So that's where I work with specific concentrated whole food vitamins that are pre-digested, organically sourced. And when we look at addressing all the bases and applying it to the different highways in the body, now we can start working with it, because there's so much information out there. People wonder, where do I start from? Well, I think this gives a simple overview of what's happening in the body and what's going on. So that's my overview of what I work with.
Right. So let's recap, because I'm a layman here. So it sounds to me like the three steps that you say, the three highways, those are the overview of what could go wrong, right?
Right.
And then the triangle, the base is the one, home, first, second, third. Those are the results of the main factors if they go bad. Is that right? So your main factors were neurotransmitters, your adrenal, stress, right? Fight or flight. And the third one was brain gut connection.
Right. Well, I think that, another way of looking at it is that, you have the major highways, those three, the stress, fight or flight versus the healing, right? You have the mind-body connection and the gut-brain connection. And when we look at structural stress, emotional stress, toxic stress, and nutritional stress. Each of those factors can be applied to each of those highways, right?
Right.
So, as far as the gut, we've got to look at proper nutrition. The food these days, processed foods, are horrible and are killing us and are making us sick.
Right.
So, you apply nutrition, but you also look at detoxifying and
Hmm.
the gut and the brain. So, heavy
Hmm.
metals and toxins in the brain, different types of medications and shots are affecting the brain, right?
Hmm.
And emotions, the emotions with the neurotransmitters, whether it be a depletion of GABA, which has a huge effect on anxiety and depression and those types of things, right? And so, the bases that we're working with look at how those highways are balanced and
Oh,
what's
okay.
going on.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's right. So I look at the home run formula and apply it to go, okay, what's out of balance? Is that gut brain? Do we have to work with that? Right? That stress
Hmm.
fight or flight, which just everybody, hardly anybody or hardly
Hmm.
anyone escapes this stress fight or flight. And
Hmm.
the brain, even though the brain regulates the whole body, it has a challenge regulating itself. So a lot of times in these stress modes, we get stuck like deer in the headlights and the brain can't get out, which is where the neuroplasticity comes in. So the whole name of the game, right? And some people have this monkey brain or they're like a hamster on the wheel and their brain just keeps going. They can't sleep, they can't digest, they can't focus, they can't concentrate.
Hmm.
All of these things because everything's out of balance, right?
Right. So when a patient's in your office, you apply all these principles, I'm sure. What tools do you use to accomplish fabulous results?
Yes, I have a quite a array of different tools. I think that my primary tool is the chiropractic adjustment. And a lot of people have thought of chiropractic of neck pain, low back pain, headaches, like if the bone is out of position, it pinches the nerve, pop it back in, and everything's fine. Well, that was a good model that lasted for a while, but the new neuroscience is showing that the adjustments, the chiropractic adjustments, are actually creating pattern interruptions in the brain. And so the techniques that I use, the muscle testing, core and specific technique is a type of muscle testing. I've studied with John Brimhall and Scott Walker. And these are always, I become more like an electrician for the body, looking to see where the circuits are blown out, right? So if we come walking into a room and it's dark, I got to find where the switch is to turn the light on. Now, to turn the light on, to turn the switch on, I don't need a hammer. I just need a flick of the switch to get that going. So the chiropractic adjustment is huge. I think one of the other aspects that I work with is the neuroemotional technique, which is a technique that deals with resetting the circuits or affecting the physiology, which means how the emotions affect the functioning of our bodies. And so that's a powerful technique. I use the brain tap technology because that's something that people can do at home, working as far as brain health or brain fitness, and that uses light and sound. Dr. Patrick Porter has developed that. It's a phenomenal technology. We're winning all kinds of awards in the mental health world, in the gadget world, the biohacking world, but it uses light and sound to entrain your brain. So it's like a virtual reality headset that if we're looking into a fire, our eyes get entrained to that light frequency of the flames. So that's called neuroentrainment, nerve entrainment, and that frequency, just like sounds. We know that music and sound gets our bodies going. So there's binaural beats and isochronic tones and guided imagery and music. All of these, there's 2,000 programs designed to work with helping your brain being able to move, like again, neuroplasticity. If you're stuck in a stress fight or flight mode, some people can't sleep because they can't get into the deep delta waves. Some people can't relax because they can't get into alpha relaxation or the zone, especially for sports performance. So here, right, is this stress fight or flight, the beta, the high beta waves. And so the name of the game is how do we balance out that system to work with that? I use cold laser, I use nutrition, I have ion cleansed foot baths, I have far infrared saunas, I use a percussor, which is for myofascial release. So I have an array of nutrition, homeopathics, I use peptide therapy, which is also another fascinating, and then stem cell enhancement, which helps the body's repair system, which is also amazing, different from stem cell injections. This is nutrition that supports the body's own production, enhances the body's production of its stem cells. So quite a few things to work with.
Right.
It's
So
you'll
that's all amazing. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you and they're out of state, can you work with them via Zoom or some other remote? And if so, how can they reach you other than you see the website going across the bottom of the screen?
Right. So yes, I work with people actually literally around the world. Now, certain things I can do, remotely, whether Zoom, phone calls, and so forth. I use lab work that can be done anywhere, and we can get specific lab work and blood results. And then based on that, find out specifically what nutrition the person needs. But lankeringchiropractic.com. My office phone number is 970-927-9900. And my email address, dradjust, that's DRADJUST @sopris.net.
And where can they get your book if they want to get that? Wake Up with
Yeah,
a Happy Brain.
right. On my website, there's a place where people can order that. And so I can get that to them. So again, at lankeringchiropractic.com.
Okay, well, we're about out of time, and we've appreciated all the information you gave us, and we would love to have you back again because there's a lot more questions that I have. So if you could
Great.
come back soon, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. I know that was, maybe putting the mouth to the fire hydrant there, and there's a lot of information. So, but I appreciate the opportunity and just to give people a perspective on, what they can do as far as their health and really, I think it's a different perspective than what a lot of people are traditionally exposed to. So thank you very much. I appreciate being able to get the message out.
You're welcome. I think people are like, if they have a headache, they go to the doctor and get Botox or a couple extra strength Tylenols, but you're more holistic and we appreciate that and believe in it. Absolutely.
Well, thank you. So
The
yeah,
best.
those situations don't come without side effects, and I think side effects that are dangerous to people's health. So
Oh,
the work
yes.
that I do, does not have those side effects.
Right. Well, a person with migraines and get Botox can't be good for you, I assume. And you
No,
have solutions that can alleviate that. So thank you.
you're welcome.
Well,
Thank you, Tricia. I appreciate
thank you for coming, and we'll see you soon for part 2.
it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.